pretty important meeting has just wrapped up in Washington, D.C. and leaders have spoken to the media. The US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin in that meeting did pledge that Australia won't be left with any capability gap on the submarines issue. He spoke after the AUSMIN meeting. Defence Minister Richard Marles was there, also the Foreign Minister Penny Wong. Also, our Sky News Washington correspondent Annelise Nielsen, and she joins us live from the US State Department. Annelise, the US pledged to increase troop rotation as well.
Look, they did, but we also heard that last year, so that's been met with a little bit of scepticism. But this time, all four leaders said that they were confident that it was going to happen this time, that this has been a long time tracking, and that comes down to this capabilities gap. Now, this is a serious consideration for Australia with Collins-class submarines ageing, and then still we're not expecting these nuclear submarines under the AUKUS deal to come online until the 2030s, and so the real risk is what happens in the meantime. This is what's been a huge focus of these discussions between the United States and Australia, and the pledge we heard from the Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin was that Australia won't be left wanting in this time.
We recognise where Australia is and how when its capability begins to diminish, and of course we will address all of that in that pathway that we create, and so we will not allow Australia to have a capability gap going forward.
One issue that both sides sidestepped was whether Australia would buy any of the B-21 operative machines, because that is the newest technology that's been announced by the US government. But Lloyd Austin said he's barely got his hands on it, let alone considering selling it off to other countries. What they did announce was an increase in rotations, but also an increase in the relationship with Japan and how that's going to protect Australia's interests in having increased presence in the Indo-Pacific. That's most likely to be by exercises, but there wasn't much more detail on that. Richard Marles was also asked about the capabilities gap as well and how Australia is going to address this.
The most important capability that Australia is seeking to pursue right now is, of course, a nuclear-powered submarine capability. And we are very mindful of the significance of the United States working with the United Kingdom through the AUKUS framework in providing Australia with that capability.
We heard Richard Marles, the Deputy Prime Minister and our Defence Minister, saying that there is going to be increased presence by the US, but in the meantime what we are going to see is further progress on the AUKUS submarine deals. There's going to be a meeting with the UK Defence Minister tomorrow, and then they're on to Japan, which does signal that there is going to be more increased participation between Japan, Australia and the US, as well as the UK, in pushing back. Both sides, though, not acknowledging the elephant in the room as much. China. We didn't hear the word uttered once by the Foreign Minister Penny Wong or Richard Marles. The US counterparts Lloyd Austin and Antony Blinken were very direct, though, saying that they will back Australia in the coercive fight against China.
We agreed to enhance trilateral defence cooperation and to invite Japan to integrate into our force posture initiatives in Australia. These efforts just don't demonstrate the closeness of our alliance. They also show the work that we're doing together to deliver tangible results toward our common vision.
Laura, this is an important week. AUSMIN does happen every year, but this has particular significance. We're waiting to see further details of exactly how these AUKUS submarines will be rolled out, with a major report expected early next year.
Annelise Nielsen, thank you, live from Washington.